How about making some cash on the DraftKings Sportsbook? It's our NFL panel consisting of DK contributors, Pearce, Dietrich on the left, Geoff, Ulrich on the right. Gentlemen, please tell me if you were going over or under the following game totals. Not a ton of beefy ones on the main slate. Only one currently north of 50. We're talking Tampa Bay at New Orleans, 50.5. Geoff, over or under? I know you're the king of overs here.
I'm the king of overs, Emerson. But I'm gonna take a 180, 360. I don't know what you call it. I'm going the other direction for this game. I'm going under. New Orleans Saints is just not a team in 2021 that I want to take the over on in very many spots, especially when the game total gets to over 50. It's a team that passes less than any other team in the NFL. They play at a really slow pace. They want to run the ball. And by the way, who are they going to throw the ball to, even if they want to throw against this Tampa Bay defense? So there's a lot of factors here. I do respect Sean Payton as a coach, too. And right now, Sean Payton wants to make games ugly. He wants to win with his defense, and he wants to run the ball and make games slow. And I think that's going to win out here against Tampa Bay. I know you can't run the ball against Tampa, but you look at the Bucs here, too. There's a lot of different outcomes of this game. And maybe the Bucs do just put a pounding on New Orleans again. They intercept Jameis a couple times, but if they win 35-10, well, we're still going under here. Again, it just speaks to how big this total is. I don't want the over in this one. I'm going under.
Okay, Pearce, you want to go in the same direction?
Yeah, let's go in the same 180, 360, whichever direction Geoff has us pointing. But I know it's going towards the under. And if you've watched the program the last 3 days, Geoff has brought up Adam Troutman 3 days in a row. He didn't mention him today somehow. But that tells you enough about this Saints offense. There's no one there. There aren't any receivers. It's just Alvin Kamara. And really, for the most part of the season, they haven't given the ball to Alvin Kamara enough. I know he got a lot in that Seattle game, but that was the only time. Throughout his history in Seattle, Peyton has not been willing to just constantly pound the ball with him. And he's really their best shot. And in this matchup, he may not even be their best shot, because if you look at what Kamara's done against Tampa in the past, it's not a very impressive game log. So they don't have the receivers. They had Jameis Winston at quarterback. They're going against a very tough Tampa rush defense. You can pass against them, but like Geoff mentioned, who are you going to throw to? And then on the other side, Tom Brady wasn't that great against New Orleans last year. During the regular season, had some really low quarterback ratings. Even in the postseason game where he had a quarterback rating above 90, he only threw for 199 yards. So New Orleans knows how to shut down Tom Brady, or at least keep him, lower in the production department. So I'm definitely going under here.
Well, we found out that Tennessee has figured out a way to shut down Kansas City. We saw what the Titans did last week. Tennessee is now at Indianapolis, so we have an elite AFC South matchup here. The total currently on the DK Sportsbook, 49.5. Oh, wait a minute. I have breaking news from Tom Glennon. 50.5, the total jumping up, matching that Tampa Bay New Orleans one. Go ahead, Pearce. You want to go over this one. I know you do.
I do. I guess I'm gonna follow the public, or at least the big money, whoever's pushing this line up. Both these pass defenses are terrible. Indianapolis has a terrible pass defense. It is a banged up pass defense. They have a good run defense, statistically, analytically, but a lot of that has to do with the funnel. Teams are just going to pass against Indianapolis, and that'll do fine. But for the most part, the run defense really isn't that great either. Eli Mitchell had 100 yards on this team last week. Derrick Henry went for over 100 yards in his first matchup. I don't think Tennessee is going to have any problem running the ball against this team. They're definitely not going to have any trouble passing. And it's the same thing with Tennessee. Tennessee has a terrible pass defense and a decent run defense. But again, it's another funnel situation. So an average pass defense can move the ball and score against Tennessee. Well, that's what Indianapolis is. And a good run offense, which is Indianapolis with Taylor, can also move the ball against Tennessee. So I think both of these offenses will be elevated and the defenses will continue to struggle.
Hey, Geoff, this just jumping from 49.5 to 50.5. How does that impact your decision here?
It doesn't really impact it at all. It was way too low at 49.5, and I still too low at 50.5. I think you'll see this total perhaps reach 52 by game time. Pearce nailed it, man. You've got two offenses who can move the ball in multiple facets of the game. I've talked about this earlier in the week about both these teams have highly variable offensive weapons. And by highly variable, Derrick Henry can just in the snap of your fingers, 70-yard touchdown. Jonathan Taylor can do the same thing. We've seen Carson Wentz start to play better. And look, even if Carson Wentz does his Carson Wentz like dance in the red zone and like just decides to chuck it over his head to the other team, that's fine because it could lead to pick sixes or just quick possessions on offense. So there's nothing about this game that really has me saying here, oh, these defenses are going to take a step up. You even look at the trends last year. Frank Reich, Mike Vrabel, both their teams, the Colts were 10-7 to the over. The Titans were 11-4-2 to the over. So both of these coaches have also trended towards the over a fairly large sample size. I'm surprised that this even started at a sub 50 total. It was definitely one of my favorite bets. And even at 50.5, man, I mean, you have to go the over here, in my opinion. I think you will see this one continue to climb. And I think this spot between these two teams and two offenses who are playing really well, like let's give the Colts offense some credit, over 25 points in 3 straight games, it makes for a very good over spot.
All right, well, how about New England at the Chargers here? That is currently 49 on the DK Sportsbook. I mean, the Patriots, debt taxes and destroying the Jets twice a year, they put up like 54 points alone by themselves last week. Geoff, how you feeling about taking the over here?
I actually feel pretty good about it too. The Patriots, they teams get on them. They don't throw the ball downfield enough, and maybe they got a bit of a rink-and-dink offense, and maybe they're taking they're a little bit they're kind of like risk averse, but they're also playing at a very fast pace. And we kind of saw that last week against the Jets. When they start to get the big plays, man, the scores are going to come in bunches. And guess what? Damian Harris probably going to have another massive game here because the Chargers rush defense is actually worse than the Jets rush defense. So you've got that to go off. You've got the Chargers who've been sitting there simmering after just getting their butts handed to them by Baltimore 2 weeks ago, simmering on a bye week now. Justin Herbert can move the ball. They've got Austin Eckler. I'm not really that worried about this New England defense here. Justin Herbert also getting rid of the ball very quickly in the pocket here, so I don't think the New England pass rush is going to be a big deal. I think the Chargers are going to be putting up points as well. I see this game kind of similar to how I see the Titans and Colts. I think you've got two offenses who are better than the defensive sides right now, or at least going to be able to move the ball against the defenses. And I think 49 is too low. This one probably won't move as much either because of the perceived perception that people have of the Patriots as being the slow-paced team. But I think at 49, I really like the over here too.
You like the over as much as Geoff does, Pearce?
I do. I like the over. And the reason the Chargers got it handed to them a couple weeks ago is because they're frauds. They beat Washington. Big deal. They beat Kansas City. That doesn't look like a big win anymore. Las Vegas, maybe they deserve some credit. Yeah, they beat Cleveland, but they also allowed 42 points in that game. They got smoked by Baltimore, who then got smoked the next week at home by Cincinnati. The Chargers do not have a good defense. Their offense can put up some points, and they'll probably put up enough points in this matchup. The bigger situation here, we need to give more credit to New England. I know we spend way too much time on this channel boosting New England, but Mac Jones, what he did after that New Orleans game where he was terrible to come out the next week and have a 112 quarterback rating, his last 4 quarterback ratings are 112, 119, and 9. He's been great in his last 4 games. It's exactly what you want to see developmentally from a quarterback as a rookie, struggling and then coming back out and playing well. And he's doing this without really any receivers at all. I mean, Bourne, a couple tight ends. Either way, Mac Jones is probably going to have no problem moving the ball, scoring. And as Geoff alluded to, the New England defense probably is a couple steps behind in terms of development. So the Chargers have enough explosive weapons. They'll put up points as well. So give us the under.
Dudes, the Dolphins.
Over.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I didn't want to call you out, but you made it not as smooth as it could have been. It's okay. The Dolphins are 14-point underdogs in Buffalo. But again, we're just talking totals here, which this one a little tick north of what it was originally. So now 49. Geoff, over or under this one?
Man, I guess I got my overcap back on here. I just can't go under in this game. It does worry me a little bit that Miami Dolphins defense or offense, could just score 7 points because the Bills defense definitely has been elite for a lot of the year. But this Miami Dolphins defense, they're really bad. I don't think people realize how bad they are. They're bottom 5 in pressure rate. Even with getting one of their corners back last week, they were still terrible against the pass. They've been terrible all year. They're starting to trend well towards the bottom in terms of yards per pass attempt against as well. They've allowed 27 or more points now in 4 of their last 5 games. You've got the Bills who've been sitting there simmering for 2 weeks now. The Bills offense is going to come in here. And the reason I want to go over is because I really think Buffalo could score 40 in this spot. And I just don't want to be on the under here because Tua, let's give him some credit as well. He's played pretty good. And at the very least, Tua has taken advantage of some of these late game situations where the prevent, the easy points are there, much like Jalen Hurts does in Philly. So I don't like this one as much as the other two, but I'm going to lean over here just because I don't want to take the under with Buffalo in a spot where, again, they could push for a 40-burger.
Miami's last win at Buffalo was 34-31, overtime victory. It was Christmas Eve 2016. Just a fun little fact there, unless you're a Bills fan. Pearce, over or under 49 for the total this weekend?
Well, it's easy for them to go over. It's easy for the Bills to score 40 points because they do it every single week.
Yep.
I don't see why that should change. And I've got the trends here. Looks like Emerson's already looked at some of my trends. And I didn't take these from Reed, but here they are. Since 2017, the Bills 8-1 straight up against the Dolphins, but the over has hit in 6 of those 9 games. If you look at 2015 going back to 2015 at Buffalo, where typically these warm weather teams tend to struggle, Buffalo 5-1, but they've went over in all 6 games. So the last 6 games, Buffalo versus Miami at Buffalo, it has gone over. You look at the week 2 matchup, the Bills put up 30-plus points, and that was a game where their offense still really wasn't clicking. In week 1, they struggled against Pittsburgh. Week 2, they still weren't quite there. They're not nearly where they are now. And then also, you didn't get anything from Miami that game because Tua went out. So Tua's going to get them at least a couple scores. The Bills are going to continue to roll. You have to hammer the over on basically every Buffalo game until we see something different from this offense.
Yeah, I'm going to take back my previous comment now. Pearce has convinced me. I'm very confident about this one as well.
Okay.
I agree. You don't want to fade the Bills off.